tell me your name and what you're doing here and why you're here?
I'm Johanna Ralston, and I'm CEO of the World Heart Federation. I'm Johanna Ralston. I'm CEO of the World Heart Federation in Geneva. We're the main partner to WHO on cardiovascular disease matters, and we're also a founding member of the NCD Alliance.
And why are you here today?
I'm here because I was asked to speak on a panel about access issues and health systems barriers to access, which is very much part of the WHF mission around reducing premature cardiovascular disease mortality by at least 25% by the year 2025.
Why is it that people are suddenly having more heart attacks?
Well, they're not. It's just that people are surviving childhood, and so they're dying of other things, but they are dying at much younger ages than we've seen in more developed countries. We've globalized many things, including risk factors, so people have moved to cities where there's fewer opportunities for physical activity, safe physical activity, particularly in low and middle income countries, less access to healthy foods and fruits and vegetables, a lot of air pollution, tobacco smoke, so all things that contribute to the cardiovascular disease burden make it the #1 killer in India, in China, and in many other large countries around the world, so it's really the leading cause of death in the world.
Does anyone actually die of a broken heart?
Does anyone die of a broken heart? That's an excellent question. I'm sure they do, but it would break my heart if we didn't take this seriously, this wonderful opportunity we have here with Novartis and others to partner to really save lives from cardiovascular disease.
Thank you. And just one other message, like if you had to say what's the difference between, say, in developing countries and in developed countries, and what do ministers need to do, what would that be?
Ministers need to work together and persuade their ministers of finance to help resource the WHO targets that they've promised, and to work across sectors so that we can have better food, better prevention, more physical activity, all the things that will help reduce not only the burden but cost, and then provide access to treatment, which means lifting health systems barriers, legal barriers, regulatory barriers that inhibit people from receiving life-saving medications, which I know Novartis is trying to do through this program.
And what about preventing it in the first place?
Preventing cardiovascular disease. Preventing cardiovascular disease, there's primordial prevention. If you grow up in a heart health enabling environment, that's great, but most people don't.
What does that mean to normal people?
So that means that you have access to clean air, lots of opportunities for safe physical activity, protection from tobacco smoke and pollution, access to healthy, lots of fruits and vegetables, and so sort of the key risk factors for cardiovascular disease. You may still get it, but you're going to get it much later and with much less suffering. But the reality is that many people will get cardiovascular disease. We just want to delay that, and we want to reduce the pain and ensure that they have the best possible treatment. And treatment includes both medication, and it also includes changes in how people live, which is physical activity and food.
What about like China and Africa? I mean, China, it's not like they have a few problems with clean air and things.
They have a lot of problems with clean air, and it's manifesting itself both in chronic COPD and cardiovascular disease, and it's a very serious issue. If you go to Shanghai, 30 years ago there used to be bicycles everywhere. Now it's all cars. That may be progress, but I think it's progress in the wrong direction. So I think that countries, even China's recognizing the health impacts of some of the rapid globalization, and so there's also increased rates of cancer, for example. In many countries in Africa, fortunately, there's still relatively low smoking prevalence, so that's great. Tobacco companies are marketing heavily and trying to change that. They see that as this wonderful untapped market. But what you do have is a lot of large urban settings where there's not a lot of health, and yet people are surviving longer from infectious diseases, and so they are presenting with cardiovascular.
Okay, that's perfect. Any other thing you wanted to say?
I just want to say thank you to Novartis. It's bravo. We need companies to take a leadership role. The future lies in successful partnerships.
Okay, thank you so much.